Hello and welcome back to the channel. We're back today with a rebuild and we're back in the English League system. So it's been a while since I've done our last rebuild. Of course, the last one was with Wolverhampton Wanderers, and I took a while thinking how I want to do this rebuild simulations this year in terms of how long we want to do them for, what teams, and set certain goals. It's going to be a bit different for each and every one. But today, we're in the Championship and we're starting with Stoke City. Of course, now you can see Stoke on screen. Of course, they are in the Championship right now in real life. And my goal is to try and get Stoke not only back to the Premier League, but top half Premier League in contention for European spots within just a 5-year period. So we're going to dive in and have a bit of an explore now of the team and see what we're looking at and how we're going to change this team within season number 1. So of course, Stoke haven't been around the Premier League for quite a while now. The last time would have been at the end of the 2017-2018 season when they were relegated, finishing 19th within the Premier League. So they've been gone for quite a while now, a couple of years now. And I thought it's about time Stoke City got back to the promised land, back into the Premier League, of course. And of course, now we can see here on the history overview page, the highest ever position was 4th in the Premier League back in 1935, the 1936 season. Almost 100 years ago was the last time they got that high in the Premier League. So hopefully we can emulate like a 4th place position ever in the Premier League. But in 5 years, it's a big ask of us. Can we do it? Who knows? But according to FM, looking at the start ability of some of the players within their team straight away, the likes of Axel Tuanzebe on loan, of course, from Manchester United, Ben Pearson, Jacob Brown, of course, not a bad player. Josh Tymon is someone I used to love in FM a couple of years ago as a wonder kid. Now, a little bit older now, of course, at the age of 23, but again, it's still a very good attacking fullback you can use within FM this year. But of course, the main man for Stoke right now is their striker, Tyrese Campbell. You can see there, he's a very fast striker, some great mental attributes in there, and that finishing of 16, that match that composure of 12 is not bad, but at 22, you can still mould this player and make him into an elite striker. Maybe not an elite striker, but for Stoke, an elite standard striker at least. And the season preview itself has us over there. You can see right now at 16th this season. So it's going to be interesting first season to see what we can do with Stoke in season number 1. So let's dive in now towards the end of the season and see what we've done in one season here at Stoke City. So season number 1 ends now and we came back in. You can see Stoke came 5th within the Championship. It's not bad in our first season because that prediction was quite low down for them. And you can see what highlighted. Why is that, you might wonder? Because that would be in our first season, we went to the playoffs final, taking on QPR, and we beat them 4-3. In season number 1, we've been promoted straight away to the Premier League. See there, a great result. Tyrese Campbell popping up. I said earlier on in the video, he'd be your main man up front. In the 91st minute, he got a crucial goal that saw us beat QPR and sent Stoke City back to the Premier League in just 1 season. And you can see now, going into Tyrese's history from this season, he hasn't been bagging many goals. I hope to get a lot more than what he has done, but in 46 appearances, only 11 goals, 2 assists. It's not a bad return, but I was really hoping to get a lot more goals from this striker this season. But there's actually been someone else who's been stealing the headline. It's actually been number 9, Jacob Brown. Not someone I looked at that much at the start of the database. I was thinking, Tyrese, that main guy, we're going with him, we're playing one striker, he'll be the main man. But Jacob Brown's been very influential this season, bagging a lovely 12 goals in 38 appearances, helping see Stoke get 5th in the Championship. So, we mentioned the squad earlier. There's a few good players in here, but what has changed since the start of season number 1? Well, as you can see now on screen, we actually made no transfers within that first season. No loans, no transfers. We thought, season number 1, we're not touching anything. There wasn't really much there financially. We thought, let's not touch anything, leave it alone. We'll make it work around our tactic. And it has just done that, to be fair. I mean, there's some very good players already at the club on loan. The likes of Gavin Kilkenny's there. Of course, Liam Delap, DeJohn Sterling, Fosu from Brentford. There's a lot of good players already on loan at the club. So we thought, they don't need any more loan players coming in. They don't need that depth in there. It's quite a big squad. We'll use some young players in there as well. And in season number 1, he's done the business, getting that 5th place finish here in the Championship. And this has been the shape we've been using so far in season number 1, something we're probably going to stick with going forward into the Premier League right now, because it was quite well defensively. We're going to dive into the statistics a little bit deeper in just a moment, but it's a 4-3-2-1. There is no actual left wing. We're telling Josh Tymon here, basically, the push up, overlap on this left-hand side, whilst the AM supports inside here, the short passing to let off to our pressing forward in Tyrese Campbell. We've mentioned Brown as well, of course. He's been very key so far in this formation. Again, on that right-hand side, cutting to his left and getting goals from that position. And oddly enough, a lot of goals came from Josh Lauren as well in that midfield this season. He bagged 11 goals with 8 assists in that midfield this season. He's been playing as a DLP on defend. So it's quite interesting to see where he's been getting a lot of these goals this season. A lot of them have been from set pieces. He's quite a tall lad, you can see there as well, 6'2". So a lot from set pieces up, but with that heading of 11, jumping reach of 13, you wouldn't have thought so. But before I take things back now, I'll show you a few goals. This is from our playoffs campaign in the finals. Of course, we beat Watford 2-0 in our home leg. Souttar there getting the first goal. And now on this one, Baker has the ball through the middle. Finds Torres Campbell, who's playing on the right-hand side, oddly enough for this one, not playing as that pressing forward. And Brown was this time in the middle, heads it home, a 2-0 victory over Watford. Which again was shortly followed again then by another 2-0 victory against Watford before going into that playoff final, which we looked at already with that 4-3 victory. But you can see though, throughout the course of the season, we had a pretty good season, only going out in the FA Cup to Chelsea in that 5th round. But the Carabao Cup, it was not to beat. In that first round, we went out to Middlesbrough early doors, and we was thinking, okay, we might have a problem here. You can see there was a few losses throughout that season, but we did get a bit of form, eventually found our shooting boots, and towards the end of the season, that 4-3-2-1 formation got loads of key points here. I mean, we beat Birmingham City 2-1, beating West Brom 5-0, an absolute monster 5-0 there. QPR, we drew a 2-2 earlier on in that season, towards getting towards that playoff final before we did eventually beat them. So you can see now on screen, this is how the league table finished, reaching 5th in the league after 46 games, 24 victories, 13 draws, and only losing 9 times, the second least amount of losses all season in the whole league. That is not bad going for a new side, considering we thought, well, the prediction said 16th, so we haven't done bad at all here with Stoke as we go now to season number 2 and we build for the Premier League. So we come back now ahead of season number 2 starting in the Premier League, our first season, of course, in the Premier League, season number 2 within this 5-year save. And we've done a bit of transfer business. We'll probably dive straight in and have a look at how that's looking and how the team's going to look going ahead into our first season in the Premier League. So we start things off at the end of the last season where we did and got Gradient Garnett from West Bromwich Albion for 5.25 million. I wanted someone else a bit different on that right-hand side, a left-footed player who can cut in and get some shots away. Dean Garnett, of course, West Brom didn't get promoted to the Premier League. They still remain in the Championship. So for 5.25 million, not a bad deal. And then we really started spending the money. We went and got Mads Roslev at Brentford, of course. He's someone I've used in my network, say, with Hood Gaming. I've been using him at Roma as a right back in European football. So the fact we can get him into Stoke, I know he's good enough to play European football already. Big bonus. Next up, we went to RB Salzburg and we bought in Palovic. It caught 13 million and potentially raising up to 16.5 million. Not a bad business there. Lovell came in on loan then from Bayern Munich for the season. A 1.3 million loan fee was quite a lot of money to spend, but I thought he's a good versatile player for that midfield. Not a bad acquisition. Then for 13.5 million, Yasser Asprilla came in from Watford. I thought he's an absolute steal for this player. He's very good with NFM and he developed really well. 20 years of age, getting him for such a price is so good. And you can see the attributes out on screen right now. He can do a lot of jobs for us. But of course, you've seen the formation. We've just bought some to play his right wing position. So where was we going to play him? Well, we'll get into that in a little short moment. But yeah, carrying on. Fosu, of course, he was here on loan last season. He came on a free transfer. We only got Papin Matar Sarr on loan for the season from Tottenham Hotspur. A bit more depth in that midfield. And then we went and spent 30 million, our biggest transfer so far the save, on Dennis Seaman. Anyone that's seen our Wonder Kids series, I said this keeper turns out to be one of the best goalkeepers in the game. And for 30 million, I thought we got to spend big and get him into Stoke right away. And you can see why. Look at the attributes there on screen. And this is at the age of 18, of course. He's still very young at this point. And we thought, for a long-term keeper for this save, 5-year save, this guy could redevelop in the first team position here at Stoke City. And then we spent 2 million on Gagliardini before spending 10.75 million on Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. I wanted someone in that midfield who can play that Mazzala role pretty darn well. And looking at the Ox, he's got the attributes for it. Lots of 14s and 15s around there as well, which is very good to see. The only one that was lacking really was his tackling, but I wanted more of that pushing forward in that midfield role to push far forward. So I thought he didn't have much tackling to do anyway, realistically. And to be fair, he had a very good season, but we'll get into that at the end of this part. And then July 1st hit, and there's still more transfers to be done. We went to Southampton, a 9 million offer for Liancao. Came in a good centre-back, to be fair. The Brazilian centre-back, 27 years of age right now. He comes in, and him and Pavloga thought straight away, our starting centre-back pairing for the season, these two were absolutely ball in the Premier League. And following that transfer, we had a free transfer then for Harry Winks before we went and spent a lot more money. Once again, we were given an absolute shed load of money, as you can tell from this already. But James Ward-Prowse came in for 33 million from Southampton. Of course, 2 players from Southampton there because they got relegated that season. So he went in and spent the money. Ward-Prowse, we know he's a set-piece merchant within this game. He's very good in that box-to-box ball winning midfielder role. So we thought straight away he'll fit into our midfield very well. And for them set pieces, we're going to get a lot more goals. So Ward-Prowse came in as our big last transfer just before deadline day. Now you can see on the right hand side just above my head as well, there wasn't anything in terms of sales. Really, a lot of free transfers, people leaving the club. It's a bit of a shame. We mean Emre Otenzo, we loaned out for the season at MK Dons, of course. Anyone that's seen him within the game this season, he developed into such a good wonder kid. But we'll get more into him later in this video. But this is how we lined up then, starting season number 2 in the Premier League. It's a massively changed squad now. I mean, from that first season, you can only see 2 players who've actually started in the Championship. So we went massive, did a bit of Nottingham Forest, we brought a lot of players in to make this brand new side ready to compete in the Premier League. So let's dive now to the end of season number 2 and see how we did in our first season over in the Prem. So we come back now at August 2024, of course. This is well past the end of season number 1. You can see though, season 1 finished, we narrowly avoided, I say narrowly avoided relegation. There's a big gap there between 18th and 17th. But Stoke survived 38 games, only winning 9 games all season. With that team, we only won 9 games still, drawing 11, losing 18. But a big goal difference of 47 goals really helped us late on the season. But 38 points, it's not bad considering the likes of Forest, Southampton and Blackburn all go down 23, 22 and 11 points only for Blackburn, sent them back down to the Championship. But for his first season in the Premier League, Tyrese Campbell yet again impressed me. 19 goals in 35 appearances. That's not bad. In less appearances, getting more goals than he did in the Championship. So he's definitely already developing. I mean, we have to take a look at him now. He's definitely getting much better in the game. He's really developing now into that pressing forward role that we've been playing him in so far within this save. But one of the standouts for me this season was Dean Garner. Of course, we bought him from West Brom for 5.25 million that season. You can see there, in his 32 appearances, 10 assists, 4 goals. That is not bad playing in that wide midfield role, on that inverted winger role, on that right-hand side, cutting in onto his left foot. It's not a bad season at all. But one of the big transfers, of course, last season, this was one of them. Yassir Esprit, of course, came in for 13.5 million from Watford. In these 34 appearances, 7 goals, 2 assists. It's not a bad return, but again, we've been playing him in a shadow striker role, something he's not really used to, so we are trying to retrain him into that role and try and make him into something a bit different. And so far, it's not a bad return, but we'll hopefully get a lot more from him next season. And so we come back now. It's the end of season number 3. We're going to go into the transfers that we've made in season 3 in just a moment, but I wanted to come straight in and show you the league table. After finishing 17th in season 2, our first one in the Premier League, season number 3, our second one in the Premier League now, we have finished 13th with Stoke. You can see there now on screen. It's not a bad season. The 38 games get 11 victories, 11 draws, 16 defeats. We're still losing a lot of games. And we've seen a lot of goals. We've seen 60 goals that season. But scoring 40, it was enough to keep us up on 44 points. A much better return for Stoke. And not a bad finish. I mean, I'm still confused why Leeds got Champions League football finishing 14th, honestly. They must have won the Europa League or something ridiculous that season. But we move. Stoke, still in the Premier League, getting a 13th finish spot. But what about the transfers? That's what we want to see. So let's dive in. So last time you saw us, of course, we bought in Cal, Winks, Ward-Prowse, and since then, we've had no money. We've had no money. And you're going to notice some big transfers that happened, some free transfers there on my right-hand side. I mentioned earlier about Tezgel, about him being a wonder kid. Yeah, PSG came and took him. We tried to offer him a new contract for about 6 months straight, and he just wasn't having any of it. And PSG were like, here you go, here's 27 grand. We offered him 50 grand, and he said no. Almost double what he's getting paid at PSG, and we still couldn't get him to sign up for us. So he's gone now. It's a shame because he looks pretty good, but he wasn't ready just yet to start in the Premier League. But hopefully he has a very good future over at PSG. And of course, Jacob Brown from our first season, he was a hero in that first season, but Premier League standard, he's not really good enough. So he's now moved on a free transfer over to Huddersfield. But you can see now, since we took the job here, we finished 5th in our first season. That's not bad going. Up to 17th in the Premier League, and now up to 13th. So we're making that push towards the top half. Maybe season number 4, we can break into the top 10 of the Premier League. But in terms of our league form, we went back to a new formation this one. We actually switched up, which we'll get to in a moment. You can see, we've changed to a 4-3-3, which we'll get into in a little moment. But we did make the Carabao Cup quarterfinals for losing out to Leeds in that quarterfinal. But it wasn't to beat in the FA Cup. We lost to Plymouth. Not ideal losing to Plymouth really, but some good Premier League results. I mean, it beat Chelsea 3-2, Some good results in there. I mean, we did lose to Spurs and Brighton back-to-back 4-0 as well. So the results have been a bit up and down so far in the Premier League for us. And you can see that running as well. Losing to Palace, Wolves and Brentford, then we beat Manchester United 3-1. So the results have been a bit everywhere. I mean, on that Manchester United result now, we're going to show you some of the goals quickly, of course. Man U did get the opener here, sadly enough. A little bit of a tap-in. Heung-min Son have actually signed from now as well, oddly enough, over from Tottenham Hotspur. But we did come back, though. First, Mads, of course, we mentioned him earlier on in the game. He's been very good for us. Ward-Prowse this time from the edge of the box. Puts it home. That's not bad at all. Lovely little finish from him. And this time, on the left-hand side, Diang Garner, of course, now gets the ball. Left-footed cross. Swings it in. Oxlade-Chamberlain in that Mazzala roll on the volley. Bagged it home. And on the 83rd minute then, we won the ball back here. De Gea has the ball, plays it short, straight to Tyrese Campbell. I mean, I don't know what he's doing really there. Straight to Tyrese, and he's not missing those. A 3-1 victory, one of our better results from this season, as we saw off Manchester United at Old Trafford. But another good season for Stoke, of course. We have 2 seasons remaining, and the aim was to try and get into European football. But for next season, let's try and break the top 10. Let's go back now and see what happens in season number 4. So we come back now, the year is 2025, season number 4 is about to start, and we've done a bit of transfer business. Of course, Liam Delap had on loan in that first season. We have now signed him for 13.5 million, not a bad little business there. We took Calvin Rams on loan from Liverpool for the season, a bit of full-back cover, 3.9 million though, it's a big loan fee, but hopefully he'll do justice for that. Sasa Lukic came in from Torino. Of course, he has joined Fulham in real life recently, but in this simulation, of course, he wasn't there already. So 9.25 million. Lukic comes in to add some depth in that midfield, and he is very, very good to use this year. Straight away, looking at that passing of 15, that vision of 13, tackling technique. He plays that DLP defensive role, which we do play in this formation very, very well. And then we got our first new gen that I like the look of within this save, as we loaned in Kane Fuller-Love, and he looks absolutely full of love. A dribbling of 16, a finishing of 15, a first touch of 13. I mean, some of the mentals weren't great, but the composure of 15 matched up with these. I thought, you know what, he's worth a punt. He's 6'2", he's got acceleration of 16, pace of 15. This guy had it all for me. I was like, you know what, let's get him in and give him a go this season. And of course, we mentioned him to a 4-3-3. This is the 4-3-3 we have been playing. This is how we're going to start our new season. With Seaman in net, Ramsey now in that right back position, Lycano and Pavlovic, our new centre-back pairing, of course, from the other season, still there. Josh Tymon is still in this year, and he's still doing very, very well in that team. Lukic now in that DLP role with Ward-Prowse and Oxlade-Chamberlain ahead of him. Diang Garner, Asprilla, and Fuller-Love was going to start up front for this season, with Tyrese Campbell being moved to the bench. Of course, now you can see it here down the bottom of the screen, the likes of Matt Rosleth, who we brought in previously, Gagliardini as well, Liam Delap, Campbell, we have mentioned as well. Harry Souttar now dropping to the bench as well. We've got a very strong bench going into the Premier League season. Season number 4, will it be enough to secure a top half finish? Well, the short and long answer it was, yes it was. In season number 4, we finished 8th with Stoke in the Premier League. We got that top half finish and narrowly missing out on European football. You can see now after 38 games, we won 16, drawing 9, losing 13, finishing on 57 points. So we still got quite a bit away still from Spurs in that 6th spot. But when you see the likes of Wolves getting Europa League football in 9th, West Ham got Champions League football, and Palace getting Conference League football and 14th in the league, it makes you think what you need to do to get European football. We're getting so close, we're getting higher up the league, and teams below us are still getting European football from other competitions. And of course, we don't help ourselves really, because in the Carabao Cup, we went out in the 3rd round, the Blackburn Rovers on penalties, so that didn't really help us. And the FA Cup, I mean, it didn't really go to plan really in the FA Cup either. 3rd round, we were knocked out by Newcastle. We entered and we were straight out. But of course, one of the games of the season, we had Man City come to the Bet365 Stadium, and we beat them 1-0 narrowly late on with a Tyrese Campbell goal. We didn't have much in the possession within this game, but when we did get the ball though here, Asprilla puts it through, finds Campbell, one-on-one with the keeper, puts it past Edison, and it was enough to steal 3 points from Manchester City. And following where we jumped in last time out on deadline day, we did actually bring in 2 more players into Stoke for that season. Jordan Torreira came in from Ghent for 11.75 million. Then Luca Romero from Lazio, of course. We mentioned our network game earlier with Hood Gaming. He's been using Luca Romero for his Lazio side this season. And I mean, on a loan, not a bad option. I mean, and he looks absolutely incredible looking at him. He's been playing predominantly on this right-hand side, using that very strong left foot, cutting inside. He's done pretty darn well, getting 7 assists and 4 goals in his first season in the Premier League. But of course, Tyrese Campbell was the one again getting the majority of the goals here at Stoke this season. 12 goals in 36 appearances. He's not bad really. His first season in the Premier League has been his best one yet still. But again, 12 goals, it was enough to keep us afloat and get that top half finish in season number 4. So season number 4 in the bag then. We come back now for our final season, season number 5. The European push. Can we get Stoke into European contention? So of course, season number 5, we come back now. You can see it right below me there. Balances, it's not going too well. We spent a bit more than we probably should have been spending right now. But of course, it was the last season. We want like a big push towards getting European football with Stoke. So let's see what we've been doing. So at the end of last season, Brentford had gone down, of course. So we went out and got Ivan Toney, 22.5 million. I thought, yes, that's another striker. We're getting another striker in. But we had to mix things up. We let some people go. And Ivan Toney comes in now to be our starting number 9 up front in that pressing forward role. I mean, you can see why. Look at the attributes on screen there. Some great player traits in there. Tony's absolutely class. We got him in as Campbell now have to drop to the bench permanently. And again, in terms of the outgoings, we've mentioned some of these already. But I mean, Fosu left in the end. Baker left. There's no big transfers going out from the club. And even towards the start of this season, Ben won't be our biggest one so far. Only making 6.75 million from him. And again, the rest leaving on free transfers. Besides Bristol coming in for 750k to take Jason Nixon away from us, one of our new gens. He looks very good. He's a very decent option for striker. But we thought, at this point of the game, not going to get a chance to use him really. I mean, determination of 20, finishing of 16, composure of 12. We could have redeveloped this guy, but he's never going to get a first team stint with us. We thought if we can get a bit extra money in, it might help us with those last minute transfers. But of course, at this point now, we're in August 1st, 2026. And the season's about to start, of course. We've got some few more friendlies to play through, but we're going to go in now and see what happens come the end of season number 5, our final season here at Stoke City. As we come back now, by an absolute madness, we got Stoke into the Champions League, finishing 3rd in the Premier League. You can see here now, in 38 games, we won 26, drawing 4, losing only 8 all season. You can see the teams we lost to: Arsenal, Man United, Liverpool, Newcastle, Liverpool, Chelsea, Man City, and Villa, oddly enough, made that list as well. But it was a very weird old season. But looking at the table, you can see Liverpool won the league, of course. Narrowly behind them was Arsenal. We were 2 points off Arsenal, getting 2nd place. And Everton, Newcastle, and West Ham all finished in the top 6. With Man City, Man United, and Spurs all down below them. And Chelsea all the way down in 13th. But the big one was, of course, last season we bought in Ivan Toney. And, I mean, just look at that. Ivan Toney scored 50 goals this season. And Erling Haaland coming 2nd on 26 goals. An average rating, of course, Ivan Toney of 7.83 as well. What a season he had. Vespria getting 17 assists. With Ward-Prowse on 15 right behind him. Stoke absolutely ran away with it here in season number 5. And of course, Ivan Toney being the main man, it'd be only rude not to have a look now. You can see here properly. After his 22.5 million switch, he played 36 times, scoring 50 goals, getting 2 assists, 15 player of the match awards, with a 7.83 rating. Not a bad return for 22 million. As we go back to the tactic now, of course, we have been using the 433, the Murph FM Demolition 433, which you can find available on the channel. It will be linked down below, and we'll make sure to try and get a card in the top corner there if you haven't used a tactic before. This is the tactic that got Stoke City 3rd in the Premier League. And of course, now the players added in for you to have a bit of a look how it ended towards the end of last season. It's not a bad team, realistically. I mean, there's a few players switch in and out throughout the season, but this was the majority of how we looked throughout that most season. As you can see now, Romero on that left-hand side, cutting as the inside forward. Espria on the right-hand side as the inside forward, supporting Ivan Toney. 50-goal Tony, as we're now going to call him over here. But Dye, who we bought in as well, of course, not something we mentioned earlier on in the season. But he came in for 30 million in between the transition between season number 5 starting and just before that window shut. And he's been absolutely incredible. In his 34 appearances to get 2 goals, 5 assists, it's not massive, but the fact he's been so good and so clinical in that midfield has really helped us this season. I mean, you can look at the attributes on screen now. An absolutely clinically acclaimed midfielder. He's so good. But the majority of the team is pretty much the same as what was there at the start of last season. The change of bringing Toney and Romero in. Romero on that left-hand side, cutting in on his left foot. Ivan Toney leading the line, bagging 50 goals. It's been absolutely clinical and has led to a Premier League finish of 3rd for Stoke City. In terms of the other cups, we went out in the Carabao Cup 2nd round. We don't do very well in cups, it seems, this season. I mean, you can see there, we started a bit rocky, losing 1-0, 2-0 to Chelsea. I mean, they're big teams. They're going to happen. Lost to Liverpool. And I thought, we're not getting European football this season, nowhere near it. But we turned things around, a bit of a win spell here, going through the month of December, beating the likes of Arsenal as well, of course, Chelsea as well, beating them. But then the FA Cup came round, we lost 2 on the FA Cup to Everton. But then we went off that, beating the likes of Spurs, Leicester, and even beating Bournemouth 6-0. And in that running, from March until the end of the season, we won every game, beating everyone along the way, including beating Man City 3-1. with an Ivan Toney hat-trick. So there you have it then. That is how we finish the final season with Stoke, getting third in the Premier League. Of course, the tactic will be linked down below. If you haven't downloaded it already, there is a video on the channel for that tactics. You can try that 4-3-3 out. But it's gotten Stoke with that team to third in the Premier League and getting into the Champions League in 5 seasons. That is not a bad return at all. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure you're subscribing to the channel and give the video a thumbs up. And let me know in the comment section any other teams you want to see in the future that we do these rebuilds with. I'm going to try and bring these rebuilds now a bit more common to the channel, to adding some different content here. But as always, thank you for watching. We'll see you again very soon.